just want to point out a couple of things in this as well. When the when they're showing this footage, which millions and millions will see, you're getting a subconscious message here, and it's Islam. See it in the right hand corner there. See Islam, very characteristic of anything the 322 ultra Zionist, pro Israeli sort of Mossad stroke, well, CIA or whatever. Yeah, so Islam. We're seeing that because we are supposed to make a mental link in our mind to, even though there's no link to Islam, but you know, it's playing on our prejudices. It's a big black guy, Islam flashes up subconsciously. People won't recognize it, but it'll go in, there'll be just some sort of subconscious connection there. Also, the this bit here where it says 320, can we get EMS code 2? So we've got 322, but we also, don't forget, you didn't miss the 33 as well, did you, at the end?
322. 322. Yeah? Stem again.
So it'll come up now.
The call is quickly upgraded to a code 3, a call for emergency medical assistance.
EMS code 3. Copy. EMS code 3.
By now, another bystander, 17-year-old...
Yeah, 33. So EMS code 3, she replies EMS code 3. There's your 33. So 322 and 33 there. Just telling us who's involved here. So this will lead me on now to the little chat to you about Freemasonry and the 322 people and stuff like that. The 322 Lodge are now the Illuminati, the American Illuminati. I would say the world's top lodge, sort of Freemason lodge. Yet the 32nd degree of Freemasonry used to say, the secret of the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, used Scottish Rite, ancient and accepted Scottish Rite Freemasonry, used to be that the Knights of Malta are trying to take over the world for the Pope. And I don't know, some say, and the Freemasons have got to stop them. Okay, the Knights of Malta. So that used to be the 32nd, and now the 32nd degree, or the 322 people, seem to have owned that. They've seemed to have completely taken over Freemasonry, because this is a Jesuit lodge. Yeah, and remember, Jacques de Molay was burnt by the Pope, and they swore back then that they were going to take revenge, and that is what's happened, but in a very strange way, because sometime, maybe 100 years ago, maybe more recently, or maybe on and off, because remember the Pope was murdered 33 days after he was inaugurated or whatever. And this is the Freemasons, of course. This is they can't help putting their stamp on everything, and they are involved and up to their necks in everything. And the P2 Lodge, the P2 Propaganda Due Lodge, Roberta Calvi, Blackfriars Bridge, the Vatican Banker. Again, all this connected to the Vatican as well. But so going back to what Freemasonry. So yeah, what happened is the popes around the 1950s started wearing Rossoncelli, started wearing the Illuminati symbols of Freemasonry in the 1950s. But then there was a pope assassinated, 33 days, and because he probably wasn't acceptable for the Freemasons, and then we get a CIA type, Freemason type, New World Order pope. I know that for a fact because my dad was his bodyguard, in 1982, and I got loads of info. But so what I'm saying here is Freemasonry was subverted. What the general idea is, Freemasonry infiltrated the Vatican, but actually it's a Jesuit lodge, a Vatican Jesuit lodge, that is controlling controlling Freemasonry. It's like the Jesuits, isn't it? It's like with the they're always trying to or the Pope is, and the Catholic Church are always trying to unite with the Protestants. And the whole point of the Reformation is, flee from Babylon and don't look back. She is beyond reform, as Jeremiah says. There's nothing you can do. Just get out. Okay, but they're always trying to, unite one world religion under the Pope. Basically, that's the end game. It always has been. Yeah, and that's been very hard to achieve openly, because you've got to take the public with you, and people like me and millions of others are resisting that sort of thing. Yet through Freemasonry, it's been accomplished. Although Freemasonry was allegedly originally anti-pope, it's been completely taken over by the Jesuit 32 Lodge, the most powerful lodge in the world, the American Illuminati Lodge. That work with the Zionists, the Mossad Zionists, and they're the ones also deceiving the Christian literalists. Okay, so Freemasonry, what is it, or what was it all about? Well, the Greek Orthodox Church did a study into Freemasonry. They infiltrated Freemasonry with all their priests, double agents, and then they did a big report, massive report on Freemasonry. Basically, it's a continuation, they said, of the pagan mystery religions. Although there are lots and lots of branches of there are esoteric lodges, and there are lodges that go off and do their own wacky things, and go off and research all sorts of things, get involved in all sorts of things. But and they warned Christians not to get involved. Then in the 1950s, a guy called Walton Hanna, I think it was, or Hannah Walton. Might have got that the wrong way around. He was an Anglican priest, and again he became a Freemasonry, and he decided that he'd just blow the whistle on the whole thing, and he started taking photographs of the rituals, and explaining the lower rituals. Jabulon, they've got an amalgamation trinity of Jehovah, Baal, who is sort of synonymous with the devil in the Bible, and on Osiris, Jehovah, Baal, and Osiris, and they call their sacred name Jabulon. Okay, so this goes back to the idea. For example, Timothy Good and Christopher Gandy, I think it was, wrote a book called The Jesus Mysteries, and they were very, very open about the fact they were Freemasons. And again, the mystery religions were, in a way similar to the idea of the dying God man. That was a repeating theme throughout history from the time of Babylon. Now, the Freemasons, like Timothy Good and Christopher Gandy, they wrote a book called The Jesus Mysteries. So they'll try and say that the Jesus account is just a cultural transmission from the time of Babylon, and they're just repeating the same mystery religion. And all the Freemasons are doing is they're just going back to the start, where it all started, Babylon and Egypt, and they're saying, well, that's where it all started, so we're going to go and worship Osiris and Horus and Tammuz and all that lot. Now that's wrong actually, because it's not as quite. They take the ancients for just complete muppets. There's no examples of this in modern history. This idea that people are so stupid, they just move from one country and go, oh look, we need to create a god. Oh no, let's take the exact template from the culture we've just come from, but just give them different names. No, that's not quite what that's how they think the Bible is. Of course, that's how they think the Bible is written, and that's how they think Jesus emerged through this cultural transmission. And so as I've said many times, and as I can prove, we can prove through the study of the uniform pattern throughout the Bible, that God uses something called accommodation theory, and the Catholic Church, the wise Catholic Church, the wise, perhaps craftily wise and evilly wise Catholic Church in its nemesis, understood this and mimicked it. God uses something called accommodation theory. It's where you accommodate the existing, you mimic or parody the existing ideas. So the existing ideas, for example, perhaps of a dying God man, and you then you accommodate all those beliefs, because that way you bring everyone on board, but you actually subvert it to the spiritual truth that you want to say. Yeah. And that we can see any examples of the Bible's doing that all the way through. It's taken pagan concepts, or cannibalism, like as in Jesus eat my flesh and drink my blood, the imagery in the book of Revelation, the seven-headed sea monsters, Greek and pagan mythology that is used in just no truth in the literal sense. It's a myth, but they're using these cultural myths to decode spiritual truths, to subvert spiritually. And again, I'd say also with the book of Genesis, based on the Babylonian cosmological creation myth. Whether the earth's all flat or not is a completely different subject, but how can the heavens declare God's glory if it's a closed system? It's not really very impressive, is it? Not if it's a closed system, but the universe is mind-blowing. And the Bible says the heavens declare the glory of God. Okay, so what I'm saying here is, the Freemasons got this wrong. They got it wrong. Now, they are, or they used to be, very open for debate. My dad was anti-Freemason. My grandfather, on my mum's side, was very high up in the Freemasons. And when he died, for some reason, they didn't collect all his books. And Scottish and Ancient Accepted Right, and I had massive amount of Freemason books that he'd left after he died to study. I sat there for weeks reading them all, and we were all back here my biff, getting bashed on the head and everything, and trying to understand what they believed and everything else on that level, of course, because there's many levels. And and I got hold of these Scottish Rite degrees, and the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rites. That's the sort of original Illuminati, if you like, before the American Illuminati seemed to take over the world. But the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite, up to the 19 degrees. I didn't get any above that. I didn't take these degrees because they're like mystery plays. You've got to take part in it, they dress up rooms and stuff, and it's like theatre. But no, I mean, I read them. I had access to their actual material, and I read them and studied them, and then so I could try and understand them and understand what was going on in these rituals. And it's about confusing the candidate and compromising his Christian, especially Christian principles. So in the end, especially in the 19th degree, by the 19th degree, you're completely disorientated. You don't know if you're worshipping, you're cheering and supporting evil or good, light or darkness. The whole thing is just disorientating and confusing, and is intended to compromise your any principles you may have. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of it. They'll disagree, but it's blatantly obvious if you take these Scottish Rite degrees that it's all about basic disorientating you further. There's no light, and they haven't got any light. So if you go onto their Freemason forums, which I did, they used to have forums, very, very busy, active forums. I haven't checked recently, but for maybe, I don't know, a couple of years or something, I posted on there in their esoteric section, because they were up for debate. They were open and up for debate. Basically, they're lost sheep, and they, are just trying to get. That's why they go off with like Madame Blavatsky ideas and theosophy ideas, although they completely missed Emanuel Swedenborg, who is, in my opinion, the only one who was actually genuinely inspired. Madame Blavatsky and stuff like that, no. But it'll be Madame Blavatsky and the Luciferians and stuff that they'll be all fascinated by. Completely wrong. I mean, everything to do with their theology is just ridiculously wrong. And I turned up on the Freemason forums trying to explain this to them and trying to teach them, and they asked me to be their guru. They said, will you be our guru? They didn't ask me to join the Freemasons, strangely enough, but they just wanted me to be their guru and just to meet them and teach them about all these things. But so they are basically lost sheep, and it appears that the secrets of Freemasonry keep changing. And that was true, that the Knights of Malta wanted to take that. It used to be the secret of the 32nd degree of Freemasonry, that I'm reliably informed by impeccable contacts that the secret was that the Knights of Malta were trying to take over the world for the Pope. They have been. Now, very interestingly, WikiLeaks, on the day Julian Assange was arrested or whatever, that was the day everybody went onto the WikiLeaks website just to see what was going on. And for some reason, they put on the WikiLeaks front page the Vatican. He was obsessed with the Vatican stuff. Was really shocking, completely unreported. No one talks about it. And on this day, he had a letter on from the Knights of Malta. The Knights of Malta saying that they were now fully under the control of the Jesuit Pope. For some reason, Assange really wanted us to know this. You know, and also with his Vatican leaks, you realise the Vatican were caught with malware that they were putting on, so they could put on child porn onto journalists' computers and then blackmail those journalists. That is what they were doing, the Vatican. And remember, I'll just repeat that. They were caught on WikiLeaks with malware that they could put compromising stuff on journalists' computers to blackmail them and control them. And of course, it's 322 are connected to the Jesuits, connected obviously to the Pope. And back in 2017, when I was investigating all the crisis actors pretending to be dead relatives in all these events and talking to them and trying to get information from them, I was told that they were working inside offices inside Vatican City, where the whole fake news empire was being run inside Vatican City. And you know, it was horrible. They didn't like it. Okay, so going back to and I'll talk more about their Luciferian ideas and all sorts of other things. And you know, like I say, lodges go off, and there's all sorts of. I mean, you've probably heard of the P2 Lodge with Calvi, Blackfriars Bridge, you know, and all the and the Vatican God's Banker and everything else. But what really troubles me about Freemasonry is how it affected my family and how it affected my dad. Like I say, my dad had a spy in the lodge. You couldn't get promoted above a certain level in the police force unless you were corrupt or dodgy or just not a very nice person. And they control the top. That's what I'm saying. That's the main thing. That's the main issue here. You know, I don't really care what they believe, all their mistakes. I try and help them. I've tried to help them with their ideas on their forums. Genuinely, I wasn't on there being hostile. I was genuinely interested in, you know, like I say, they're very into the Madame Blavatsky type stuff. Yeah, which is interesting. Some of it's really interesting. She probably got some things, you know, quite right, but her general polemic was completely wrong. You know, this is the point I'm trying to make here. They're lost sheep, but they are very powerful people. They're from the line of Cain. They'll say they're from the line of Cain, so they are the serpent line. They are the evil ones. But the Freemasons will say, well, we're trying to get people who would naturally not be spiritual people to be more spiritual people. To keep them on the square. Yeah, that would be their way of looking at it. But of course, that's not how it turns out in reality. Yeah, and but the point is, they are the ones controlling the courts, controlling the police, controlling the media, and they stop the best people. This is the whole point. This is what really bothers me. They stop the best people getting. They only promote the corrupt. They only promote the Tubal Cain, the serpent line, the evil ones, to the top. And that's why we have wars, and that's why we have, you know, have injustice and poverty and all these things. If we can get rid of Freemasonry, we can get the right people to the top and change the world. That's what I believe.